Hello, hello. Welcome back. It's time for another episode of Leading Women in Tech. I'm your host, Toni Collis, and happy new year. Today, I'm digging into the energy that comes from the new year, the fresh momentum, that feeling of endless possibility. And I hope a week into 2025, you are feeling it. But here's the question. How are you leveraging that energy? Are you taking the right actions with that energy? Are you confused, excited, with low confidence? Focusing on the wrong things since you've been back from the holidays. Let's talk in this episode about how to lean into that new year energy and set yourself up for results that you really want and deserve this year. I want you to be taking action. So this episode is for the action takers amongst us. If you're feeling stuck or uncertain, but you're ready to take action, I want to talk to you about the actions to be taking. I also want you to be doing this if you're motivated to stop wasting your energy on the wrong actions. This is a great time of year to be leaning into what is going to deliver great things. But to do that, you need to stop wasting your energy. I'm going to talk you through what the right actions are for your goals, how to process your feelings or overwhelm or failure so that when things don't go to plan, you continue taking good action. And then most important of all, how to keep this momentum that you likely are feeling because it's January, woohoo, and keep that going all year long. So by the end of this year, you're looking back and saying, that was my best year yet. Let's start off digging into what is New Year energy. Many of us experience a new year feeling of additional momentum. There isn't a collective excitement in society. This is a fresh start. Fresh start is a real effect. It has been studied by psychologists. It creates this momentum from a psychological boost of, I'm going to start something. We get this several times a year, but it's really big in the West at New Year. We also tend to, in the West, get it in the New Year cycle for school in September, maybe August if you go to school a bit earlier. You've had that your whole life and it stays with you. Maybe you have kids and you see them go through it. So we often get that New Year boost in September. And I've talked about that on the podcast before, but it's huge in January. If you're in a culture that celebrates New Year at a different time of year, you may well get that New Year boost at other times. We all get it to a lesser extent on our birthdays. Have you ever come to your birthday and thought, this year, I am going to do all these things? You write yourself a bucket list. You're like, I'm going to change my career, all these things. You get that New Year energy, but it's not as powerful. It's short-lived because you're not leaning into the collective. Society has New Year energy and that kind of boosts us all up. I bet you've been scrolling, who hasn't? And seeing all these things you could do this year, whether it's redecorating your house, reinventing yourself, changing your career, making a ton of money. You're getting a lot of signals that are, it's time for change. It might be get fit, lose weight, redo your house. There's so many ways that we are bombarded with this messaging. And I want you to leverage that. I want you to leverage the fact that you are getting this New Year boost, whether you want to or not, because you're surrounded by it. But then I want you to align it with intentional strategic actions rather than just busy. Taking on 100 things this year, you may well already have got your New Year's resolutions and you're a week in because the day I'm releasing this is the 7th of January. We did not release on the last day of 2024 because I was like, who has time for that? They should be celebrating New Year. But how many of you have New Year's resolutions that a week in you're already a little bit behind? I want you to use this energy because it's not infinite. It is finite. And I want you to be using it in such a way that you're doing all the right things for you and your career rather than what the noise on the internet is telling you to do. I want you to be leveling up. I want you to be looking at what it is that is going to leverage the biggest and best outcomes for you in your career this year. But to do that, you've got to know how to up level it in the right way. Everything I'm talking to you about today is something that I leverage every single year. I leverage it throughout the year. I find reasons to restart. But the new year is a biggie. And all the big things I've done in my career have been from that new year energy. You may have heard me talk on the podcast before about one of the things that was really game changing for me when I was told just before Christmas in an annual review, in a focal cycle, you're not promotable. I did a whole load of grieving over the holidays. New year, new energy, focus, go out there and land a job. Now, it did take me a while to find the dream job, but it lit that fire under me to take action. And ever since then, I have had January after January where my new thing has become a big deal. I remember the year I started this business. I started my business in April, but it was January and I was like, I need to start looking at what's going on here. I know I need to make a change this year. And it was a January energy where I started researching, understanding what it looks like to run a business, not just to be a coach, but to run a business. And even now, today, it's only a few years ago when I realized if I'm going to have the impact I want in the world, I can't do this by myself. I'm one coach. There are thousands upon thousands of women leaders in tech out there who need my support. And therefore, I need to grow beyond just me as a coach. And that was New Year energy that led me there, that gave me the idea, to grow, that helped me take those next steps. But I'll also tell you, sometimes things don't go to plan. Sometimes I lean into that New Year energy. I try something and it didn't work. So for example, last year, I lent into this. I was ready to grow even further as a business. So we hired some salespeople to help me reach more women than I can possibly reach just by myself, having all the discovery conversations we do. And honestly, 2024 was not the right year to be expanding my sales team in a coaching business. It really wasn't. I learned a lot of lessons from that there. And so that is part of what I want to address today, which is not being afraid of failure. If you have taken action in January and failed, you may well be one of those people who's like, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I don't do that. I was one of those people. But that is missing out on something amazing, which is this New Year energy. So I want you to let go of it doesn't work for me. I want you to get go of it's just media hype. This is one of those things where I actually think we should lean into that because society is giving us energy. I'm not a big believer in spending money just because corporations tell us to, but I am a huge believer in stealing the collective energy. You're not even stealing it, you're using it. It's just going to dissipate into the ether if you don't use it. Use it. But to do that, you've got to overcome some common barriers. So let's talk about why you might not take action. First up, low confidence. I'm not capable of this. Last time I did this, it failed. Whenever I do something in a year, by February, I've stopped. I want you to ask yourself, why have you got low confidence? Why are you saying I can't do this or I shouldn't do this? Dig into that. It's so important you understand the real reason behind that low confidence. If you're saying I'm not capable or I shouldn't, or this is just hype and speak, ask yourself, what is so wrong with that? This is not spending lots of money buying lots of things for other people. It's not corporate world telling you to spend stuff. This is you going, I'm going to take advantage of this energy that's in society right now and take action. Why wouldn't you do that? So if there's an issue, look at your confidence. Is your little inner brain going, I shouldn't do this because last time I failed and I don't like failure. Whenever I do this, it goes wrong. What's going on? The other reasons we might not be taking action is confusion. You're asking yourself, what steps should I take? Where do I start? How do I get going? If you haven't listened to my end of year episodes from 2024, go listen to them because I dug into goal setting, whether you want to focus on job hunting or leadership development, like what do you want to focus on? But if nothing else, that episode really helps you understand what is your goals. But we've got to go from goals into steps. Goals is kind of strategic if they're far enough out, but steps are tactical. And one of the reasons you might have low confidence is because you don't know what to do. You don't know where to start. We've got to break this down. So I want you to ask yourself, first of all, do you have the right goal? Does that goal light you up, make you excited, make you go, oh my goodness me, that's scary. And if I did that, my world would be phenomenal. Do you have that goal in mind that is awe-inspiring? However far and big it might appear and scary with that, does it make you go, well, if I did that, then I'm kick-ass. If it doesn't, why is it there? What would be the right goal for you? And then I want you to ask yourself, Do you know what actions to take to move forward? What will help you make progress? Sometimes our goal is actually to get clarity. Our goal is, I need to know if I like this thing, or I don't know which path I'm going to choose. And so the goal is get clarity. So sometimes the action to take is to try something out. Maybe the action to take is figure out what is the baby step I can take that's going to give me more data. If you're saying, I don't know what action to take, ask yourself, how can I get more information? And that's the first action to take. Don't sit there doom scrolling, researching forever. Take some action. And then the other one is a barrier we have, a fear of failure. What if I don't meet my goal? And this is tied into I'm not capable, historical stuff, but that fear of failure and how you're going to feel in 6 months' time when it doesn't work. That can be crippling and stop us taking action. So I want you to ask yourself, do you believe you're capable of taking these actions? Sometimes our fear of failure is so loud, we don't even ask ourselves, am I capable? Our irrational fear is louder than our logical brain. So just ask yourself simply, do you believe you're capable of taking the action? Whatever that action is. Not do you believe you're capable of achieving the goal, but are you capable of achieving the action? Can you start the action? Can you make progress on it? Can you get up and do something with it? Do you believe you can take action? If not, why not? Ask yourself, what could I do to make this an easier action? Because we want to disassociate ourselves from the scary goal if the goal is crippling us. I like to set interim goals, simple goals, like have the big, exciting, slightly scary. I say this to my clients, you should be scared of your ambition, just a little bit intimidated by your ambition. That is not a bad thing. That means we're aiming big and bold and scary and fabulous. It is not a bad thing to be intimidated by your ambition because the whole point is the ambitious version of you is doing something you don't know how to do today. If you know how to do that, you're boring. I'm sorry to call you out on that. But if you know how to do that thing that is your big bad goal, you're just a little bit dull, my love. I know that's a hard way to start 2025, hearing that truth, but your goal should be ambitious and just a little bit intimidating because that version of you doesn't exist yet. You don't know how to get there. Now, I don't personally use the word intimidating anymore. Logically, I suppose I'm a bit intimidated by my goals and that they're big and scary, and I have no idea how to achieve them. But intimidated is maybe a little bit negative, but logically I am intimidated by them. Today, though, I'm super excited and like, what am I going to figure out on my way there? But I've had to do the work along the way of saying, it's okay if this takes longer than I want it to. I am also one of these people who is very impatient. So I'm like, I can do that in 12 months, 5 years later, I'm still here. And so the impatience has to be meted out with, well, I'm just going to go and figure this out as I take actions and learn stuff. But that means I lean into, can I take this action I've just dreamt up that I think is going to give me the information I need to figure out the next action towards my goal? I don't know all the steps towards my goal because there's 100 of them, maybe more. But I know that I want to get to this point next, this baby position next. And I know I can take that action, that little action right in front of me. I can take that. And if I get information at the end of it, that's a win. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, the outcome. Positive and negative is somewhat arbitrary. What I'm going to get is data, I'm going to get information. So I want you to ask yourself, what is the next action you can take that you're capable of? What is it that is both productive but intentional and strategic? Which brings me to taking the wrong action. There is a real noise problem in society. We are bombarded with do this, do that, do the other. To some extent, I'm doing that to you right now. And doing something feels productive. We are also in a society where busy work is rewarded. Presenteeism, oh my goodness me. I cannot believe we're back to presenteeism being the thing that we're rewarded for. You get paid if you go to the office. Without intentionality, without strategic thinking, we are constantly told you are worthy if you are busy. Now, the problem is with taking action with this New Year energy, being busy is not necessarily the right thing. If you're trying to lose weight and your action is eat more, you're not going to lose weight. Now, hopefully that's a fairly obvious one, but sometimes it's not so obvious. Say, for example, you're job hunting this year. You might just apply to 10 jobs. That is the wrong action. You're going to be busy, but I just tell you right now that this moment in 2025, just applying for jobs is going to mean nothing. You are not going to land a role unless you are a magic person, because just nobody is landing jobs by just applying for them without a ton of work in order to get the perfect resume, get through the applicant tracking systems. Ideally, you're networking as well. You can't just go from zero to landing a job by applying for jobs unless you've done a lot of groundwork first. That doesn't mean you can't do it. You absolutely can land jobs this year. I want you to know that. But applying, the number of people that come to me saying, I've been applying for jobs for 3 months, I've just not landed anything. And they've been busy, but they're just noisy. They just click the quick apply on LinkedIn. There's no intentionality. There's no strategy behind it. They're just busy. Society is constantly telling us do all these things. And I'm telling you right now, you need to be strategic in what you do. So taking the wrong action is another thing we need to be watching out for right now. Don't just channel this New Year's energy into the wrong thing. The other biggie is proactive versus a reactive action. I talk about this a lot with my leaders. As a leader, your job is to be proactive, not reactive. How many of you are just reactive all day? An email comes in, you just go into spin mode. You have a meeting, you take all those actions, and at the end of the day, your to-do list is longer than it was at the beginning. You've done a whole load of busy work, but nothing impactful. You're burning out, you're busy, busy, busy. And then you get to your performance review and your boss says you haven't achieved the goals we set out. And you're like, well, yeah, because I've been busy. But that's not what the company needed you to do, even though your boss in the meetings and your emails was saying, do this, do this, do this. This is a huge problem. And for leaders, you are no longer given the grace of being an IC who's told what to do. You don't want to be told what to do. If you're a leader, I can pretty much guarantee you don't want to be micromanaged. You don't want your boss saying, these are your 5 things you're going to do today. You do not like that. The problem is when you spend all your time in reactive mode, you're busy spinning wheels, you're not being impactful, you're not being proactive, and it feels like there's no time to be proactive. Being proactive is saying, I know I need to work on this thing, or we keep getting all these requests coming in, my team keeps firefighting, what can I do to stop those requests? That's being proactive as a leader. There's a lot more to it. That's a whole set of training in its own right. But what about in our careers and our New Year energy? How do we need to be proactive rather than reactive? Well, reactive is busy work. It's not impactful. It's, I've had a bad day at work, so I'm going to apply for a job. It's, my boss is not treating me well, so I'm going to go and badmouth them to somebody. Or reactive is often struggling with what to do next and burnout. Proactive is saying, okay, I need a new role, and in 5 years I want to be at this level. What role should I take on next? Even if it's not perfect for me today, that builds a skill so I can get to that dream role in 5 years even sooner. Or proactive is, I need to build these skills, so I'm going to volunteer for these projects rather than waiting to be asked or saying yes to these things that my boss just asked me to take on. I'm going to proactively go out there and make the opportunities that are going to give me the right experience. I'm going to proactively go out there and build the projects I want to be involved in. I'm going to proactively go out there and fix these issues that everybody keeps complaining about, I keep complaining about, and nobody's doing anything with. That is being proactive. It is aligning your immediate tactical action with your goals and values. Now, something I love to do at the end of every year, which we've kind of gone by now, is identify people's compasses. And I talked about this with all of my coaching members last year. We build our personal and professional compass, our sense of direction, our North Star, and that's largely your goals and values. You want everything you do to be aligned with those goals and values. So make sure that you're doing the right work, not the wrong work. You're not just busy, that you're being proactive versus reactive. As a leader, you need to prioritize strategically your development. If you are ambitious and driven, which is probably why you're listening to this podcast, your personal growth requires you to be strategic with your time. You do not have much of it. And you need downtime. Oh my goodness me. You all need downtime. You need evenings, you need weekends, you need sleep, you need time away, you need to disconnect from the internet. That is where the best ideas happen. One of my clients who started working with me late in the fall last year, she's a CEO, and she was really struggling with going to bed before 2 a.m. She just couldn't do it. And we've been working for a couple of months at the point when she said, I think it was just after Thanksgiving, because she'd gone away for Thanksgiving. She'd been in a cabin with no internet. And she came back, she was like, boom, I don't know what my business needs to do in 2025. I know. And I was like, that is why you need time off. While she was working to 2 a.m., her brain was not able to solve problems. It was just being reactive. When she took the time off, she was suddenly able to get creative and understand what was holding her business up. So as a leader, you have to be strategic. But to be strategic, you can't just be busy. You can't just be reactive in the way you're operating. You need to be proactive. You need to know where you're headed. You need to be like laser focused on your goals and values. And then you need the downtime, because that's when the bright idea happens. Now let's just take a few more minutes to talk about goal aversion. Why might you be afraid of your goals? What if I don't meet my goal? This feels too big or unclear. A lot of the time we have goal aversion because we have been mean to ourselves. Unmet goals in the past, we go, oh, I'm so terrible. I'm stupid. Why did you do that, Toni? You should know better. Look at all the people you've let down. In reality, I've let down myself. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Oh my goodness me, what a waste of time and effort. Just go home and try again. Or don't even bother. It's the way we talk to ourselves that is actually what we're fearing. That fear of failure is actually a fear of beating ourselves up. And it's normal, especially as women. Our entire lives have been, you're not good enough. You didn't make everybody smile and happy. You didn't get an A star. And so we're scared of our goals because we're scared of how we're going to feel, because we're going to tell ourselves all those terrible things that we've done in the past, other people when we were children did. And we're going to have all that fear of judgment from unmet goals, which means we tend to then either set tiny, tiny goals, which are not exciting and therefore boring, or we set very broad, amorphous things that are very unclear, because then we don't have to take action. I don't know how to move that forward. So I want you to realize that goals are not binary. They're not win, they're not fail. They are a tool for your growth. They are not binary. Everything I do, every action I take, not just goal, but every action I take is a success. I learned something. I just learned something big or something small. I learned that's not the way forward. 9 times out of 10, I don't succeed in the traditional sense the first time. What I do is get data and go, and let's try again. I want you to stop thinking of goals and actions as binary, win or fail. I want you to start thinking, I'm going to get some data from this. I think it is so incredibly important to realize you're going to get data and then promise yourself to treat yourself with kindness. And I'll admit, I still struggle with this. I promise myself all the time, I'm going to be kind to myself. And then I'll have a conversation with my team. I'm like, oh yeah, we didn't hit this goal and that's okay. What have we learned? Great. And I'll be like all upbeat on the call. And I get off the call and I'll just be like deflated. Oh, I really wish. Or I thought that was the thing. The number of times I've told myself, I thought that was the thing. That was the thing we were needing to move forward here. And it sucks. But then I pick myself up and I go, but look what I've just learned. Occasionally my brain will go into, but that was an expensive lesson. But if I wait a few months, I always look back and think, yeah, but I'm not sure I would have done anything differently, because sometimes I needed that expensive lesson to realize when I need to call time on things. I've had a few things I've invested a lot of money in to learn stuff and it's not worked. And one of the key things I learned from that was knowing that up front, I want some metrics for understanding success and when to pull the plug. And we as a team now go into investments with, this is what we're looking for along the way. We're always revisiting that. This is what we're looking for along the way. And that's a real leadership trait. Now I'm coming at this from a business lens because I'm running a business here, and that's my thing, that's my baby. I do have personal goals, but really I'm here to change the world through coaching women in tech. That is what I'm here to do. It's my entire existence and being, and I love it every day. It's an honor and a privilege. But I want you to look at this through your leadership lens. I've just talked about what I do with my team. A leader knows that failure is about growth, and she leads that way. A leader has the mindset to have personal goals. What did I learn from not meeting that goal? How am I going to improve? How can I move forward? Use that leadership mindset personally. Lead by example, even in the quiet moments of the stuff you're not sharing with your company or your team, because it's very personal. Lead by example. You need to lead every moment of your life this way. You're going to be leading by example in your family too. Your friends, your loved ones, your kids, they're going to see a woman who goes, and now I'm going to pick myself up and ask myself, how can I improve? What did I learn? What data did I get that means I know more for next time? What am I going to do now? What action am I going to take now that I've got more data? Okay, now that we've gone through fear of failure, right actions, wrong actions, proactive, reactive, let's talk about the right action. Okay, hopefully you've got your goal. Big, shiny, exciting, lights you up. Step back and reflect for a second. Literally, take a step back. Is this the right goal? Am I chasing something because I think I should? Does it fill me up? Or is this a should goal? That's the first thing. If it's a should goal, let's go back to the drawing board and have another look at that. If it's the right goal, even if it's intimidating, that's okay. That's absolutely amazing, in fact. My current goal for my business, it's been this goal for a few years. We're not there yet. I'll just say the last few years have been a tough couple of years in terms of growth. But my current goal is to support 1,000 women a year in my business. I've helped over 1,000 women now in total. But if I could help 1,000 women a year in tech be the leaders that change their businesses for the better, the impact I can have on the human race would be immense. And so that's my big, intimidating, scary goal. What's yours? What is your big, intimidating, scary goal? Is this something that you should do? Or is this something that goes, wow, if I did that, the world would be a better place? Once you've got that goal, what can you do today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year? I want you to think that kind of granularity. Sometimes I find it's easy to take the big goal and break it down. So if I've got a 10-year goal, what would I do in 5 years? Where would I need to be in 5 years? Not what do I achieve? Well, where would I need to be in 5 years? So if I was taking my 1,000 women a year, we're not doing that over 10 years. But if I was, okay, logically, simple step, 5 years would be 500 women a year, which means in 1 year, we're 100 women a year. And that's not actually how we're doing this, but you can see an easy way to break things down. Okay, great. So if I want to be 100 women a year by the end of the year, what do I need to do first to get there? Sometimes, however, it's really hard to go down like that. And instead you say, I've got this, the first thing I need to do is solve this problem. So helping 1,000 women a year, the first thing I had to solve was, I need to hire coaches. I can't do this by myself. And then I thought, well, one of the problems with the coaching industry is there are a lot of bad coaches out there. The number of conversations I have with women who are like, I've had a bad coach, this doesn't work for me, breaks my heart. We're clearly doing something different around here. So the first thing I did was I spoke to a couple of my leaders and I said, do you want to learn about coaching? And today I now have a coach academy. It's a spin-off from my business that I never thought I would do, but I train coaches. It's never going to be a huge part of my business. Well, never say never, but it is a necessity towards my big goal. Because if I'm going to change the lives of 1,000 women a year so they change their companies for the better, we need kick-ass coaches. So the first thing I did was I need to train coaches. And that was my 6-month plan 1 year. And then I broke that down and said, what can I do this month? So the first thing I did was started interviewing potential coaches. Actually, I interviewed some of my leaders and said, would you like to hear about coaching? Why do you think we're different around here? They had been coached by me. They knew what was different. A lot of them had previous coaches as well. And they knew why I was doing what I did well, why they had worked with me for a long time. And then we could start breaking down what it looked like to run a coach training program, which we now do today. And we certified lots and lots of people. I think we certified 30 coaches at this point, which is just blows my mind. It really does. So I want you to think, what specific steps will get you closer to what you want? Be focused, be intentional, break it into small achievable steps. Then prioritize. Remember that if this is personal stuff, what is realistic for you to do to stay on track? Then, how are you going to pivot if you need to? How are you going to go, ooh, that's not what I thought I needed? How are you going to be kind to yourself? Okay, the final piece I want to talk to you about is sustaining your momentum. Creating the goals is not rocket science. Getting out of your own way of the negative self-talk, the need to be busy, being reactive, I'd say that is the major work. But then it's about sustaining momentum. It's exciting in January. Success comes from consistency, intentional effort over time, going through the determination phase, the grit phase. By the way, this is actually really good for your brain health. There's emerging research that when we do hard things, when we're learning things, when we fail and pick ourselves back up, it actually protects our brain from deterioration. So I now lean into this as like, oh, look, my brain's doing better today because I just failed at something. That's so good, by the way. I love that. I have learned something. I've been kind to myself while I've learned about it. I've not beat myself up. And my brain is doing better because I figured something out. So I want you to promise yourself that when you get data and it doesn't feel good, you're going to go, but I've got data. That's the first thing. Secondly, recognize your energy will fluctuate. It's definitely going to drop off if you've got this New Year boost, but it will also fluctuate just day to day, week to week. So some days I'm just tired, didn't sleep well. Other days I'm full and bright of energy. Plan for this. Now, you might not know which days you're going to be tired. If your tiredness is predictable, such as you are working weird shifts, or you know you're going to get a bad night's sleep, or you've got to get up early, you're going to be up late, you're going out with your friends, you're going to be drinking, that generally impacts our sleep negatively. If you know, plan for it, but also just plan for the unexpected. Be like, okay, on average this month, I'm going to have 10 good days and 20 off days. What can I do on my good days? And this is the list of things I'm going to go to on my good days. On an off day, I'm just going to be kind to myself. This is the list I'm going to go to on my off days. This is a take care of myself day. I actually have a list of all the things I know are awesome in my life for such days. I'm not kidding. This is what I know is awesome about my life. And those off days, when I just need a mental health boost, I'll go and have a look at it. You know, number one on that list is I have a great family, particularly my husband, who's kick-ass. If he ever listens to this episode, he would laugh so much. He's like, you said that out loud. Yes, I did. And I'm proud of it. Number two on that list is I remind myself of my team. I have the world's best team. I really do. I'm blown away every time I get to meet this amazing group of women primarily. And they just blow my socks off. And so I have this list of stuff. What do I know is great about my life? And it just gives me this amazing boost. So I go to that when I don't have much energy, and it boosts me back up for the next day so I can go back to this is the list of stuff I'm working on. Have a list. Don't reinvent it every time. That's a really, really important one. Okay, a few final things here. First of all, plan to revisit your goals and progress. That's so important. Things change. Data changes things, and that's okay. Check your progress. Do you need to change your timelines? I do this all the time. I have plans, I'm very ambitious. Basically, with myself, always overpromise and underdeliver. I've learned how to not do that professionally, but with myself, I'm like, yes, I can do all of that. My husband and I are about to start building a house. So far, we've built a log cabin. Well, he has, not me. I've just been the person handing him the tools, occasionally carrying some wood around. And we have decided it's going to take us 5 years. And everybody's like, it's going to take you 5 years? Why not 2 or 3? I'm like, because we're doing this. Or rather, my husband's doing this. Because most of the time we'd be like, yeah, we can get that done in like 6 months. Okay, a builder would take a year, at least. A professional would take at least a year for the house we're going to build. And we're like, okay, 5 years. And I am not going to be afraid if that has to get moved out. So Set yourself time to revisit your goals, update your progress, change your timelines, and also schedule in time to avoid burnout. This is so, so important. Have time, which is me time, recovery time. The days where you fill yourself up with joy, with lusciousness, with stuff that is just not that hard. Doing hard things and stretching your brain and failing is great, but you've also got to maintain your mental health. So have days where you're like, this is a day to nourish, not to stretch, or at least an hour. I don't mind stretching every day, as long as I have some time in every day where I'm just nourishing my soul. And then have some planned milestone wins. If you've been around here long enough, you know I'm a huge, huge believer in celebrating the milestones along the way. It is an inoculation to our mental health. It protects us against failures. I celebrate the small wins, the big wins, the bad days, the good days. On the really bad days, I just say, I'm just celebrating I have my favorite coffee. I love my coffee. Who am I kidding? So have celebrations planned to stay motivated, and then celebrate every step along the way, especially the failures. Remember, this is a long-term game. This is a future foundation you're building. It's not just January. It's about staying consistent. It's about staying intentional. This is your year to be powerful. This is your year to leverage this new year energy and make this the year you do extraordinary things. So don't let fear or confusion hold you back. Break it down, make it bite-sized, make sure you're fully aligned, then be intentional. Be strategic, be proactive, and then be kind to yourself as you navigate this year. And whether you're unsure of your next step, or you need a reset, or you just want support and accountability along the way, feel free to reach out. That's what me and my team are here for. There's a link in the show notes. We are here to help you every step of the way. And if in doubt, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I still respond to every single message. Sometimes it takes me a week, but I still respond to every single message on LinkedIn. Reach out. Let me know what's going on. And if you're struggling with this, I'd be delighted to help. Or if you just want to share what you're doing, I would be honored to be the person you shared that with. Until next time, make this year your year. Be the kick-ass leader that you know you're capable of being. Let's go change the world together.